I've got something that's been simmering in my mind for a good while, and I reckon it's time to spill the beans. My name's Earl, and for a good chunk of my life, I worked for the Forest Service up in the thick woods of Wisconsin. My job was mostly paperwork, sifting through reports and complaints from folks living around the forest. Now here's where things get interesting. I started noticing a peculiar trend in the reports. Folks kept mentioning sightings of this enormous creature that looked like a wolf, but get this, it walked on its hind legs like a person. The first couple of times I thought, someone's had one too many beers. But the reports kept piling up, each one more detailed than the last. I decided to start a separate folder for these reports, which I half-jokingly named Big Bad Wolf Chronicles. I noticed that most sightings were around the old Miller's Creek area, a place with a history of strange tales and legends. As the weeks turned into months, my curiosity grew. I found myself staying late, poring over maps and reports, trying to find some sort of pattern. I even started talking to some of the old-timers in town. One fella, Mr. Higgins, told me his granddad used to speak of a guardian spirit that took the form of a wolf to protect the sacred lands. I was torn between thinking there was a logical explanation and wondering if something more mystical was at play. I mean, I'm a man of science, but the sheer number of reports and the conviction in the folks' words made me question everything. One evening, I was chatting with one of the rangers, a sturdy guy named Jim, who'd spent more time in the woods than in town. I casually brought up the reports, expecting him to laugh it off. But he didn't. He went quiet, took a sip of his coffee, and said he'd heard the howls and seen the tracks. Tracks that looked like a giant wolf, but only 2 feet. I asked Jim if he'd take me to Miller's Creek. I had to see this place for myself. We set out early one morning, and the deeper we got into the woods, the quieter it seemed to get. Like the forest itself was holding its breath. We reached the creek and Jim pointed out the tracks. They were just like the report said. I looked around, half expecting to see this creature, but there was nothing. We didn't see the wolf creature that day or any day. Eventually, I moved on to a different job and left the town. But I never stopped wondering about those reports. Sometimes late at night, I find myself looking through the old folder, which I kept as a reminder of the mysteries that are out there. I don't know if I believe in guardian spirits or wolf creatures, but I do believe that there are things in this world that go beyond our understanding. And maybe that's all right. Maybe some mysteries are meant to stay unsolved, to remind us that the world is bigger and wilder than the small piece we see every day. Thanks for letting me share this, Donovan. It feels good to get it out there, even if I never got the answers I was looking for. As an experienced hiker and passionate nature enthusiast, I've spent countless hours exploring the beauty of the Great Smoky Mountains. The breathtaking vistas, tranquil valleys, and hidden trails have always drawn me in, fueling my thirst for adventure and discovery. My love for the great outdoors has led me to develop skills in wildlife photography, seeking to capture the elusive wonders that call this vast wilderness their home. On that particular morning, the crisp autumn air invigorated my senses as I embarked on another solo expedition into the heart of the Smokies. The leaves had started to transform into a vivid tapestry of reds, oranges, and yellows, adding a vibrant backdrop to the landscape. I set out with a camera slung across my chest and a heart full of anticipation. Venturing beyond the popular tourist spots, I yearned to immerse myself in the lesser-known corners of the park. It was there that the untamed secrets of nature often revealed themselves to those willing to seek them out. My goal was to capture not only the grandeur of the landscapes, but also the intimate moments of the wildlife that remained hidden from casual observers. As I trekked along a remote trail, my eyes keenly scanned the surroundings, searching for any signs of movement or life. The forest seemed alive with whispers, the rustling leaves hinting at the presence of hidden creatures. The wilderness had a way of speaking to me, enticing me to unravel its mysteries one step at a time. Gradually, my senses became attuned to the subtleties of the environment. The stillness of the forest was interrupted by signs of disturbance. A broken branch here, an upturned rock there. Curiosity ignited within me, drawing me closer to the enigma that lay ahead, despite the faint trepidation that coursed through my veins. Then I heard it, the unmistakable sound of heavy footsteps crunching through the undergrowth. My heart leapt in my chest, and instinctively I froze, my eyes darting toward the source of the noise. Peering through the dense foliage, I caught a glimpse of a colossal figure partially concealed within the natural tapestry of the forest. My gaze locked with the creature's piercing, intelligent eyes. It stood at least 8 feet tall, with a robust build that emanated strength and grace. Its body was covered in coarse, dark hair, intermingled with patches of moss and leaves, camouflaging it perfectly within its surroundings. The creature's face, hidden behind an impressive beard, revealed an uncanny resemblance to our ancient human ancestors. A mixture of fear and awe coursed through me as time seemed to stand still. We regarded each other with a mutual curiosity, both recognizing the rarity of this encounter. The creature emitted a low rumbling sound. A vocalization conveyed a blend of warning and curiosity echoing through the silent forest. With deliberate grace, the creature took a step backward, retreating into the shadowy depths of the forest. Its movements, despite its imposing size, were surprisingly nimble and agile. And just like that, the enigmatic being disappeared into the wilderness, leaving me in a state of wonder, excitement, and a hunger for understanding, slowly emerging from the trance-like state induced by the encounter. I realized that my camera, which hung idly by my side throughout the encounter, had not captured a single image. And yet, I felt no regret. Some moments were meant to be experienced, treasured in the depths of one's memory rather than confined to a photograph. Since that unforgettable encounter, I've shared my story with fellow hikers, researchers, and enthusiasts. I've delved into the depths of ancient folklore and unexplained phenomena, seeking to unravel the secrets of the Great Smoky Mountains. Each retelling solidifies the reality of that encounter in my mind, sparking a renewed sense of wonder and reverence for the vast mysteries that remain hidden within nature's embrace. To this day, I cherish the memory of that extraordinary encounter. Was it an undiscovered creature? A relic from forgotten time? Or merely a figment of my imagination? The questions persist, weaving themselves into the fabric of my journey through the untamed beauty of the Great Smoky Mountains. I was a ranger in Yellowstone for about 18 years. I had retired and moved to the Pacific Northwest in 2016, but I still visit Yellowstone often and remain friends with many of my former colleagues. This encounter happened during the fall of 2008 near Canyon Village on the north side of the Grand Canyon of Yellowstone, right off the Grand Loop Road, Route 89. It was nighttime around 8 p.m. when my wife noticed something unusual while driving our car down Highway 89, heading towards West Thumb Geyser Basin, also located near Canyon Village. The area between Roosevelt Arch and West Thumb Geyser is very remote at night, with only 2 gas stations for light along the Grand Loop Road, one at each end approximately 10 miles apart from each other, in addition to small clusters of campgrounds. Anyway, as we're driving through the north entrance gate into Yellowstone National Park, we both saw a beige-colored 4-legged animal running alongside our vehicle next to an empty trailer hitch on the back of a blue pickup in front of us. The animal was keeping pace with our vehicle and ran like a dog or a coyote, but it was much larger than either one. I would estimate that it was at least the size of a German Shepherd, but it had a long snout, more like a coyote, and its fur also looked different than either a dog or a coyote's. From what we could see in the darkness, the creature's fur appeared to be coarse like that of a wolf. The most unusual thing about this animal is that it appeared to be running on its hind legs only, sort of like how a human would run, interchanging between 4 and 2 legs. It didn't seem to be using its front legs at all, at least for part of the time. It would also change, and it was running at a loping gait like wolves do when they run. Its front hind legs were longer than most quadrupeds would be, and we were both wondering why we had not seen this animal before, since it was so large and we do travel through the area frequently. We never saw anything like it again after that night. Also, since I am an avid hunter of big game animals, I know what every animal in Yellowstone looks like, especially the 4-legged mammals and some birds. This creature wasn't any of those things. I don't know what this creature was, but whatever it may have been, my wife and I both agree that what we saw was a canine or wolf-like bipedal animal running alongside Highway 89 near Canyon Village during the fall of 2008. The fact that it could interchange between 4 legs and 2 legs at its own whim is impressive and terrifying. And I think what disturbs me most about the story is that whatever animal we saw that evening clearly was not a natural inhabitant of Yellowstone National Park. Also, my father shared an interesting experience that coincides with what happened to me. He used to work as a park ranger in the early 1970s at Canyon Village in Yellowstone National Park. And one night, while working the night shift, he saw a very large bipedal animal cross in front of his patrol car that he simply could not identify. He described it as being similar to a human, but much larger and covered in black shiny fur. This occurred in the same general area where I had my encounter. My father retired several years ago and moved to Florida. For a time, he did live in Cody, Wyoming, near Yellowstone National Park, and I've been thinking about sharing my experience with him and asking him if he remembers seeing anything similar during his time as a ranger. The other odd thing is that the year 2008 was also a strange year for Bigfoot sightings, all across Idaho, especially in places like West Idaho. There were also some unusual anomalies witnessed by my paranormal activist friends during this same time period. They say that it coincides with the 2008 crash. I don't know what to make of. Whatever we saw that evening, anyway, was not any kind of known animal from Yellowstone National Park or anywhere else for that matter. That's all there is to it. Thanks for listening, and I think this animal belongs in its own category. My name is John Collins, a scientist by day, but also a nature enthusiast with an insatiable curiosity for the mysteries that lie hidden within the natural world. I've always been drawn to the unexplored corners of our planet, seeking out remote and lesser-known areas. It was during one of my solo expeditions to the rugged forests of Northern California that I had an encounter that defied explanation. It was a warm summer day as I ventured into the depths of the Shasta Trinity National Forest. Towering redwoods stood tall, casting dappled shadows upon the forest floor. The date was June 12, 2019, a day that would forever be etched in my memory. Guided by an unyielding curiosity, I ventured deep into the forest, my eyes scanning the surroundings for any signs of wildlife. And then a peculiar sound reached my ears. A subtle rustling amidst the dense undergrowth. My heart quickened, sensing that something extraordinary awaited me. With cautious steps, I followed the source of the sound. Every fiber of my being was consumed by anticipation and an unexplainable thrill. And there, in a small sunlit clearing, I beheld a creature that defied every preconception I had. The creature stood before me, its body adorned in sleek charcoal gray fur that shimmered in the sunlight. It possessed a muscular frame, a blend of bear and ape, hinting at a predatory agility and strength. Its forelimbs were elongated, contributing to its slightly hunched posture, while the hind limbs appeared shorter in comparison. But it was the creature's face that held me captive, a convergence of human and animal features. Its prominent snout bore a striking resemblance to that of a bear, complete with a damp black nose. Yet, it was its eyes that held my gaze captive, piercing and wise as if they carried the weight of millennia. Time seemed to freeze as we locked eyes, and a connection passed between us, unspoken and profound. It held no hostility or aggression, only an unspoken understanding that I was a respectful observer in its domain. The creature's rounded ears swiveled independently, attentive to its surroundings. Moving with a blend of grace and purpose, the creature exhibited a primal allure that awakened a mix of fear and reverence within me. Its presence embodied the fusion of animalistic power and ancient wisdom, a living embodiment of forgotten legends. My hands trembled as I attempted to capture the moment, desperate to preserve this surreal encounter. But the creature, as if sensing my limitations, chose to retreat into the depths of the forest. It vanished with a swiftness that left me spellbound, disappearing into the emerald embrace of the towering redwoods. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months, yet the memory of that encounter lingered, etching itself into the very fabric of my being. Determined to uncover the truth, I delved deep into the annals of folklore and local legends. But despite all I found, skepticism prevailed, and few dared to believe in the existence of such a creature. Undeterred, I sought out experts in the field of cryptozoology, desperate for any lead that might shed light on the enigma I had witnessed. Some dismissed my account as mere fantasy, but a select few seasoned researchers shared tantalizing fragments of information. They spoke of a hidden realm, concealed within the depths of the Shasta Trinity National Forest, where cryptids roamed, veiled from prying eyes. The creature I had encountered was said to be a guardian of this realm, a sentinel charged with safeguarding its secrets from human intrusion. Though the world may dismiss my encounter as mere illusion, I carry the weight of truth within me. The creature I encountered in the remote forests of Northern California remains nameless, shrouded in the allure of the unseen. I stand as a witness to the delicate balance between belief and skepticism. We are but explorers, seekers of knowledge, forever on the precipice of unraveling the secrets that lie beyond our understanding. So let the skeptics scoff and the naysayers dismiss. I will continue to embrace the mysteries that nature presents, venturing into the unknown with reverence and an unyielding determination to uncover the veiled secrets that lie hidden within the redwoods of Northern California. I am a hunter. I've been hunting for years. I would consider myself experienced, but considerate. I keep to the seasons, abide by the rules and laws, and always safety first. I enjoy the thrill of the kill, but also hunt for food. If I shot a deer, I bring it home and feed the entire family. I'm telling you all this to let you know that I'm not some sort of gun-toting crazy that goes out killing for the sake of it. I've also been doing it for a long time. I'm well into my 50s now and began going out with my father when I was just a young teen. Again, this is just to let you know that I've seen many things, as you can imagine, out in the woods. So when I came across the animal I'm about to tell you about, I was confused, and I know that I wasn't mistaken. It was turkey season, so I was on early hoping to catch a big tom. I was looking to find somewhere to bunker down. It was around 5 in the morning or so, a touch of mist and still quite dark. There was a profound dampness in the air. Since I'd been in the woods many times, I knew the exact place I wanted to make a sort of base. I headed over to the spot that I'd used many times before, as it had awesome coverage with trees, and a sort of dip in the ground which seemed to almost be ready to lie and wade in. I headed over and I was certain that I was in the right spot. But something felt off, call it a gut feeling, some sort of hunter's intuition if you will. I can read a situation which has come in mighty handy many times before and kept me out of a couple of tight scrapes. That's what I felt now. That something wasn't right. As I said, it was still pretty dark since it was early dawn, and I was mostly feeling my way from memory than actually being guided by any sort of light. I don't take a flash or anything with me, so I hadn't seen what had decided to make my usual spot a home until I came closer. Thankfully, I heard before I saw. and what I heard made all the hairs on the back of my neck stand straight up. Dogs. I could tell it was dogs from the low growl, whining and yapping. And those sounds were the most alarming as they seemed to be coming from a pup. Now, anyone knows that the worst kind of animal to encounter is a mama. They will do anything to protect their offspring, and quite rightly so. I wasn't sure why there would be a pack of feral dogs in the woods. I had never seen anything like them in there before, but I now did not want to hang out. I was just about to try and sneak off when my cell phone began to vibrate. To say I was angry was an understatement. I always turn it off entirely before a hunt. I hoped the vibration alone wouldn't attract any unwanted attention, but of course it did. Again, I heard it before I saw it, that growling noise. Only there seemed to be something very, very wrong. I stood up. I'm over 6 feet tall. That sound should have been coming from at the very most, around the top of my leg area, yet it seemed like it was coming from right beside me. And in fact, I could swear that I could feel hot breath on the back of my neck. My first instinct was to run, but I also know that sometimes running makes whatever's behind you give chase. I needed to turn to face this thing, show some human dominance. Yeah, right? But that's what was going through my mind. That and total blind panic. As I slowly turned, I came face to face with what I assumed was the mama dog, only she wasn't dog-sized. She was not wolf-sized. She was people-sized, huge, she-dog as big as me. Not like an actual hound on 4 legs that just happened to be massive. This thing was standing on 2 legs, looking me right in the eye. She was built like a pro wrestler covered in thick reddish-brown fur. Her head was reminiscent of that of a Doberman with those tight, mean-looking features. Her teeth were barred, and every tooth, unlike that of a regular dog, was pinpoint and tacked sharp. Before I could even turn away, I wanted to run. I was scared out of my mind. I didn't even bother to draw my weapon or try anything to defend myself. I was that frightened right then that I honestly thought she was going to kill me, and I just wanted it to be quick and as pain-free as possible. Yes, my life flashed before my eyes right there and then. Then there was another sound, a tiny yip, a yelping noise. It was the pup, and it seemed to be gravitating towards its mother. The tiny pup, who when I got a quick look was actually the size of a small boy, saved my life as Mama seemed to think whatever the pup needed was more important than me, right at that moment. She quickly made her way back over to the nest, and I ran. I was no longer worried about whether she would give chase. I just hedged my bets. She was more protective than aggressive and wanted me away from her offspring rather than to eat me. Thank the Lord that bet paid off and I'm alive to tell you this story. I haven't been back to that spot. I don't necessarily have faith that it was a death wish, but I also have never told anybody about it. I know that Mama Dog Thing was aggressive. I was sure, 100 sure that I had it and was done for that night, but she was being protective. You don't mess with moms. Other hunters, though, they'd kill her and the baby, wouldn't think anything of it. Just carry the bodies out and parade them around to share all over the internet. I might have been more scared than I hope I'll ever be again, but one thing is that I'm not cruel. The other thing is if that was a baby and a mama, there must have been a dad. And if Mama was that big, what was Daddy like? I hate to think about it,